Pedro Ansúrez was a Castilian Count of Liébana, Saldaña and Carrión in the closing decades of the 11th century and the opening decades of the 12th. He is considered the founder and first lord of Valladolid. Biography. Pedro was a descendant of the Beni Gómez family of Castilian nobility, the son of Ansúrez Diaz and Justa Fernández, daughter of Count Fernando Flanez. His grandfather, Diego Muñoz, was a Count of Saldaña and Carrión. He married twice. His first wife was Elo Alfonso, daughter of Count Alfonso Muñoz and Aldonza González of Tregras. They were married by the 17th of June 1084. She was dead by the 17th of September 1114, when Pedro made a donation for the good of her soul to the canons of the Cathedral of Valladolid. He and his second wife, Elvira Sanchez, were married by the next day, if not long before. Pedro had 5 children: Alfonso, Fernando, Maria, Mare and Araca. Alfonso died young and his sarcophagus, commissioned by Pedro, can still be seen in the Museum of Sahagun. Pedro and Elo's children were raised in the household of a lesser nobleman, that of City Alvarez and his wife Froilo, who were duly rewarded for the services with a grant of land. Pedro was one of the nobles closest to Alfonso VI of Leon and Castile, although the later claim that he was Alfonso's tutor or guardian during his youth must be dismissed, since the king and Pedro were of roughly the same age. During 24 July 3 September 1067, Pedro served as the major domo of Alfonso's court. He was raised by the king to the rank of count perhaps as early as the 22nd of November 1068, certainly before the 1st of November 1070, after which time he always signs charters using the title. In 1072, he accompanied Alfonso into exile in Toledo. Later, when Alfonso returned to inherit the kingdoms of Leon and Castile, Pedro and Ilo were charged with the repopulation of Valladolid. This they did with men from the counties of Saldaña and Carrión. However, the city really began to grow when its lordship was given to Pedro some years later. He became a prolific builder, constructing a large palace for himself and his wife, which has not survived, and a hospital. He built a bridge over the Pisuerga and many religious edifices like the Church of Santa Maria la Antigua and the Colegiata de Santa Maria, which served as the site of the cathedral. The environs of Valladolid formed the outer limits of the Kingdom of Castile at his time, and Pedro was responsible for the repopulating of the region between Liébana and Ceuta. His massive frontier district included the historically significant city of Toledo. In 1095, his lordship included Madrid. Around 1087, at the time of the marriage of Alfonso's eldest daughter and heiress apparent Araca to Raymond of Burgundy, the king appointed Pedro to be her guardian, and she stayed at his court according to the later Primera Crónica General. This probably served to prevent the accumulation of too great influence in the hands of the French. Towards the end of the century, Pedro's power and influence were diminished by the extension of that of the Capetians Raymond and Henry of Burgundy. When his daughter Maria was widowed by the Count of Urgel, Ermengarve, Pedro transferred the guardianship of her son, Ermengarve, to Raymond Berengar III of Barcelona. Between 1103 and 1108, Pedro was in exile in Urgel, having displeased Alfonso VI. He took an active part in the conquest of Balaguer. Pedro brought with him to Urgel his armor-bearer, a knight by the name of Inigo Perez. Only the greater magnates could afford to employ officers like this. The armiger, or alferez, was responsible for leading Pedro's mesnada into battle. In 1114, out of fear of hell, Pedro Ansúrez donated some land at Fu and Saldaña to the Church of Valladolid. In 1143, Sancho Ansúrez, Pedro's grandson by his daughter Urraca, introduced the Premonstratensian order into Spain when he became abbot of Fuentes Claras, moved to Riterta in 1146. Sancho had studied under St. Norbert at Prémontré,